Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, how you folks doing? Welcome here. Unfortunately, welcome to a pretty dark day in wrestling. We've heard some people tossing around the names like Black Wednesday and things like that, but just a very, very sad day. I'm joined today by CWrestling, and we're going to try to break down all of the releases that happened. Very unfortunate. C, how you doing, buddy?
Yeah, I'm good. As a fan, it's a tough day. As a content creator, it's even a tougher day because you never know quite what to say.
Yeah.
But I think, as a fan base, it's time to start supporting wrestling.
You couldn't say it better there, my man. Wrestlers right now, especially the ones who've been released, are going to need our support. They're going to need us to purchase their merch. They're going to need to see us buy tickets once we get back to live crowds, all those things. So hopefully we'll be able to continue to support our favorites. But welcome to the Unnamed Wrestling Podcast. I'm Conman. This is CWrestling today. And yeah, like we just mentioned, Black Wednesday, as people have been calling it. A lot of wrestlers have been released. See, let's just unfortunately jump right into it. 7 wrestlers at this moment, I believe, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah. 7 wrestlers have been released at this moment. Some very, very shocking names on this list. Braun Strowman, Aleister Black, Ruby Riott, Murphy, Santana Garrett, Lana, and am I missing one? Buddy Murphy. Oh, no, I said that one. Okay. So that I count 6, actually. Maybe I'm wrong on that one. Anyways, I don't even know the number. I hope it only stays at 6 or 7 here today. But yeah, that's who has been released here today, guys. CWrestling, you were just mentioning to me about Aleister Black. He went on Twitch. Zelina Vega, the Trinidad, is that what it is?
That's right, yeah.
Yeah, so went on her Twitch to talk about the situation. You were watching it. Do you want to fill us in?
So Aleister Black is not angry. He doesn't blame WWE. He's very thankful to WWE. He's very upbeat about what's next. He's hoping to do some shows in Europe.
Okay.
Once, obviously, he's allowed to. And everything like that. He's hoping to wrestle Andrade.
Oh.
And he actually hopes to one day be back in WWE. He actually put some stuff out there for, things that we kind of speculated and things that dirt sheets reported to say that they was incorrect. He actually let it slip that he was meant to win the United States Championship last year.
Oh, okay.
But
who was
Vince
that
said
against?
No. He didn't say.
No.
He didn't say. He just said that Vince ended up saying no because he wanted Aleister Black to win his first championship in front of fans. Apparently,
really?
Do you remember the report where people were saying that he wanted to go to NXT?
Yep.
And apparently Vince hated the idea, etc.
Mm-hmm.
Apparently Vince McMahon loved the idea, but they wanted to try this Dark Father gimmick first. And then if that didn't work, then maybe they'd send him back down there. And obviously it didn't work out in the end. But
so
Vince,
that's so baffling then. Like, so Vince was clearly high on Aleister Black. Clearly they knew they wanted to try something with him, and they had a backup plan if it didn't work. Yet he still got axed. That's very baffling.
It is. As he said, he doesn't know reasons why him and other people have been released. He did cite budget cuts once in a separate conversation, so that's the assumption.
Well, let's dive into that there, man. Budget cuts. Okay. So let's say if this is the reason for the budget, like that the releases are happening, all the budget cuts and all this stuff. WWE has been raking in record profits after record profits. They profited heavily off of the pandemic. They didn't have to do their live tours anymore, which is actually a loss for them on paper. They were making a lot of money. They had an additional $1 million come in because of the zombies. This is baffling if this is because of budget cuts.
I agree. I completely agree. I think there's a lot of reports and a lot of rumors out there right now online. Are they true? Who knows? Right. Honestly, no idea. Obviously, the biggest one being that WWE is positioning themselves to go up for sale.
Okay, I've heard a little bit about that as well. It was rumored last year that Disney was interested in purchasing WWE, I believe. And I also saw something along the lines that WWE wants to try to push into becoming like more of a Marvel Studios type of idea where it crosses over into multiple streams of entertainment. So if this is the case, this could be WWE trimming the fat, if you will. But like, I hate to say that term because there was some really, really talented people released here. Like we've obviously talked about Aleister Black, but man, the name that jumps out to me, obviously Braun Strowman is a bit of a shock being the size of a superstar that he is. But I thought Ruby Riott, man, I want to talk a little bit about Ruby here because she was one of those superstars that I thought could have had a lot of potential in WWE. Were you a Ruby Riott fan?
100%. Obviously, I think it's no secret if you know me that I'm a massive Liv Morgan fan. So I kind of liked Ruby Riott by association to start with. But of course, the woman's got so much talent. Like, she's so good at performing in the ring. How is she not women's champion or in that contendership?
Well, when Ronda Rousey came in, they partnered her with Ruby Riott for a little bit. Like, they clearly had trust in her early on in her career. Like, I don't really know how you missed the mark with Ruby Riott, especially when your women's division is unfortunately weak on the main roster right now. They need new talent. They need new fresh faces at the top. And it's unfortunate to see Ruby Riott be one of the superstars axed here. Another one that is a shocking name is Lana today. Lana, I felt, was a superstar that they kept around for many, many, many reasons, but the main one being she had a mass appeal outside of wrestling. What's your thought process behind this one?
I did see a report that apparently some of these stars did request their release.
Okay.
And we don't know who. We don't know, when that happened or anything. I'm assuming if there is a guest to be made, I would say Lana could be one that requested her release.
That makes sense.
I don't think she was comfortable wrestling. She came a long way and she trained a lot. You could see her like improvement in the ring without a doubt. But she's got an opportunity to go to AEW, manage Miro, exactly what she did before, and it will work. And she knows that. And again, like you said, she's got many other talents. And those other talents is what brought her to WWE as a manager in the first place. Why they didn't keep her as a manager, I don't know. Yeah,
well said, man. Baffling. Again, this is all just baffling. I'm sitting here trying to make sense of it. You're sitting here trying to make sense of it. And there's just really no sense to be made of it. Nick Khan has recently come in, and he's been the guy kind of behind the business side of things for WWE. And it feels like this is maybe him, well, we mentioned possibly Disney, preparing WWE for a sale, axing off some talent that they didn't either feel fit in with the overall vibe they were going for. I mean, I'm just this is pure speculation, and I don't want to speculate too much with releases, but when it comes to maybe appearances, who knows? Maybe the company didn't see tattoos all over the body being the way they wanted to move forward, and the release of Ruby Riott and Aleister Black, maybe that was the reason. I can't see that truly being a reason, though, with it being wrestling, and tattoos are kind of synonymous with wrestling, but still, you never know what maybe Nick Khan has in the back of his mind, why these cuts would happen. Let's talk about Braun Strowman, man. We glossed over him for just a second there, but Braun Strowman was signed to the WWE back in 2013, made his way up. He never was really on NXT. He came in through the Wyatt family, and he kind of broke out as a monster on his own, was known as the Monster Among Men, had a very solid career in WWE. Not a lot of people were fans of him towards the end, but at one point he was a really high up-and-coming superstar. Lots of fans wanted to see him win the championship against Brock Lesnar, and it never happened. Do you think, man, that because of this lack of success in Braun Strowman's career, and then the Universal title being put on him at WrestleMania last year just on a whim, do you think it's because the fans turned on Braun legitimately? Like that they cut ties? Because I can't really understand why they would cut ties with Braun Strowman. Yes, he was a bit of a PR disaster. Yes, they have another big man in Omos coming up, but I still cannot make sense of this. Can you?
Again, I can only go from reports, and again, we don't know if they're true. If this was budget cuts, apparently Braun Strowman's contract that he signed in 2019 was worth $1 million a year. And apparently, I think they probably looked at it and thought, is Braun Strowman worth $1 million to us today?
Yeah.
And that's a really tough thing, because we might sit here and love Braun Strowman. Would you pay $1 million for him to be on your wrestling show? And that's I think where the big problem comes. And if you look at, like, I think the average WWE contract, so I've read today, is between 200 and 400,000. So in a way, by releasing Braun, you haven't released maybe 3 or 4 other superstars. So
that's true.
It's very tough. I'd hate to be the one making the decisions on who gets released. I'd hate to be.
It would not be a fun job to be the man in charge of cutting people's jobs. Like, there's just no way that would be fun. But yeah, like, that's a good point there. I'm looking this up as we speak, and it says he signed a 4-year deal with the company back in July of 2019. So if that is the $1 million, that does make sense. It's never nice to hear that somebody got cut because they make too much money. But, you know, Braun, maybe he was making a little bit too much money. Maybe that does make sense.
If you remember, that was the time when WWE really feared AEW, and they locked a lot of talent down with big contracts.
Yeah, so Nick Khan might be coming in and saying, "Hey, dude, we reacted too strongly with this. These guys are overpaid. Let's get rid of them."
Yeah, 100%. And that's the scary thing. Oh, I don't know if we don't obviously as fans know if there's been negotiations, if maybe Braun, would work for less or anything. Who knows? Like, we genuinely don't know.
Well, and then once you have a signed contract as well, it's almost impossible to get out of it, right? You're not going to approach a superstar and say, "Hey, we have all this money on the table for you. Will you take less to still work here?" The person's going to deny that every single time. He's going to say, "No, pay me my $1 million that you promised me." And so they said, "Okay, well then, gone." If that is the case, if it is because of budget cuts. I want to mention Liv Morgan here. She released a tweet earlier today saying, "Whoever is lucky enough to get Heidi Lovelace on their roster, you win." Heidi Lovelace, the real name of Ruby Riott. So Liv Morgan showing her support there for her tag team partner. Very sad to see the roster as sad as they are. Another superstar who unfortunately was released, who I thought had a bright future in WWE, Murphy. He was signed to WWE back in 2013. He had a tag team with Leslie Blake down in NXT. They became the NXT Tag Team Champions. And they held the belts for 219 days. Good start to his career. He eventually got called up onto 205 Live, made himself a star by making the weight limit. This guy also became a bigger star by aligning himself with Seth Rollins and then getting involved in the Rey Mysterio storyline with Aaliyah and Dominic and all that. But it never amounted to anything. And that is pretty much the last time we saw him. I believe we saw him in the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal before WrestleMania. And that is it. Buddy Murphy no longer with WWE either. I loved him, man. What do you think about Murphy?
Yeah, like you, he's really good. Wasn't Wesley Blake actually in the last lot of cuts?
Yeah, I think you might be right, because didn't Blake and Cutler get released and then Riker held on to his contract?
Yeah.
Is that what it was?
Yeah, it's very sobering, isn't it? To sit there and, think of their massive tag team title win, and now neither of them are there. And at a time when you're crying out for tag teams and you're looking at people and, who could make you money, and give them a shot. Just give them a shot. That's it. That's all it is.
And it does seem to come down to all these people that have been cut aren't cut because of their talent. They're cut because the roster couldn't figure out what to do with them creatively.
Yeah.
Like, it really seems to be the case. Like, Aleister Black was just getting into that new storyline. Braun Strowman was in a WWE title match just a few weeks ago. Ruby Riott, she hasn't been doing too much, but every time she goes out there in the ring, just kills it. Like, same with Murphy, right? And Lana's been improving all around the block. It's really, really baffling. And the last superstar who was released is Santana Garrett. This one, you never like to say that you can understand this one, though. Santana Garrett was hardly ever used by WWE. They tried multiple times on NXT, multiple times on the main roster. She just couldn't really get her footing underneath of her. She's a solid talent, but again, you've got a young talent here in Santana Garrett. Unless she asked for her release, this one also still doesn't make a ton of sense. She got a good reaction every time she was out there, but I guess out of all of them, it's the one that makes the most sense because it's a lower level superstar. What did you think about Santana Garrett and her time in the WWE?
Again, it's just a failure of the creative team, isn't it, to not be able to find something for her. Do you know, I genuinely actually thought she'd already been released. As sad as that sounds, the fact they haven't used her as much as they haven't, I thought she must have been part of the previous cuts.
Okay, well, that's an unfortunate, unfortunate thing to realize here live, right? But I mean, hey, like that is true. It seemed like WWE wasn't using her for a while, so it could certainly be misconstrued as she was released, right? But yeah, this is just such a weird day. Like I almost feel weird jumping live talking about the releases of the superstars, right? Because we really don't have any more information other than what is out there for us right now in the wrestling world. But a lot of wrestlers and fans have been reacting. Cash Wheeler from AEW has tweeted out saying, "You're all going to do great. Keep your heads up." Tamatonga says, "Thanks for not dumping on us during the pandemic or even after," talking about New Japan Pro Wrestling. So he kind of threw shade at WWE. Renee Paquette on Twitter, she said, "What a horrible mismanagement of some really talented people. Sucks." So just you can see the whole wrestling world gathering together for these superstars. They're going to land on their feet. But again, it's just a very sad day. CWrestling, do you have some more words here? Because I'm kind of lost. Where do we go from here?
I think it's going to be interesting what these cuts are leading to. I think, everyone online is rumoring a WWE selling the company. There's no official source for that. There's no, credible person coming out saying that this is happening. Obviously, it's all speculation. For all we know as fans, it could be that maybe they're thinking of ending the brand split and they've got too many people. It could be that they're going to bring up a load of people from NXT and usher in a new era. We don't know. So what happens next because of especially with SmackDown, because SmackDown's division right now is very, very small. Also, the women's tag team titles. I put out a tweet earlier. There are now 2 women's tag teams in WWE.
Are you serious?
If they split Nia and Shayna, which is where the story seems to be going, you're left with Natalya and Tamina and Mandy Rose and Dana Brooke.
Oh my. I'm just retweeting that right here and we're pulling it up on the screen. That is ridiculous. That is ridiculous. Only 2 tag teams. How did it get here? It felt like we were building up the tag division, weren't we?
Yeah. Just the other week we were saying that finally that looks like they're doing something, and if maybe you get a few NXT tag team call-ups, that women's tag division could look okay. Nope. Today, releasing Lana splits her and Naomi up.
Yeah.
Releasing Ruby Riott splits the Riott squad up. So we're back to square one again.
I don't. And who do you even call up? Like, you could call Shotzi and Ember up, but like it seems like they're starting to do something with Ember versus Raquel in NXT. Who do you actually call up to fill the women's tag team division? Do you just start partnering random people together, or what would you do? See,
I think they've got to. I think maybe they keep signing people to the Performance Center, and I think if you sign people, you have to go and maybe start partnering there, and then bring them to NXT as a tag team, develop them in NXT, and then get them onto Raw and SmackDown. I think that's probably why we have NXT women's tag titles. But if I was them, I would scrap one of those tag belts and let the tag belts go on all 3 brands, because there's no reason for 2 women's tag team championship divisions.
100% agree. And I actually thought that was the way they were going to go. And it feels like that was the way they were originally planning on running the women's tag team division as well, by having Nia Jax, Shayna Baszler come on down to NXT that one time. Like, I thought they were going to run in that direction and eventually put the women's tag team titles on somebody in NXT and allow them to come up to the main roster. And that was going to bridge them to the main roster. But again, WWE, I don't think they truly think things out all the way. They think short term, and it's proven yet again, short term booking is breaking up tag teams. And they are, whether it be through releases or actual storylines, it seems like they just want to break up tag teams. And the women's division can't keep surviving. If you're going to have women's tag team titles, you need tag teams.
100%, 100%.
Just I don't even know, how else do we convey this news? Today sucks, man. It sucks. It just sucks for all the wrestlers. I really hope that they land on their feet. And I wish I could give these viewers here some more positive news here today, but I just, there's really nothing too much to say positive about this. This tweet here from Aleister Black says, I'm gathering my thoughts as this was a complete left field for me, as obviously we just started the Dark Father character, but this was it. Thank you so much, WWE Universe, for allowing me to create and give you small bits of myself. So you got to love the attitude from Aleister Black right now. You really do.
He did say on Twitch that last Friday he was supposed to really start the promo angle with Big E. It got pulled because they wanted to give it time. They wanted to give it like an extra week to let fans sort of want the story and stuff. And him and Big E were both backstage and they watched the show and they was planning what they was going to do next week. And literally he spoke to people yesterday in WWE about what was happening Friday. So this was completely unexpected for him.
How does that even happen? Like, I really want to know, how do you invest like money in like these segments that they produce? Because those segments they produced with the Dark Father, they couldn't have been cheap. They was really well shot.
No.
Like that cost a lot of money.
They use the same person that Bray Wyatt works with. His name's Kyle Scarborough.
He's so good. He's so good.
Yeah.
Is he signed to WWE or is it an outside person?
I'm pretty sure it's like a freelance thing.
Oh, okay, they should bring him on board. He's so good.
Oh yeah, definitely. I know he works on the zombies, the Fiend mask, Alexa's outfits, etc. I know he's confirmed to be freelance, so I assume Kyle Scarborough is as well. But he's posted on Twitter that he's not happy because obviously he works on all this stuff and he's seeing his work go to waste. Aleister Black also did confirm he was meant to have a new theme song debut this Friday.
My God.
And he said it would have been he really feels it's the best wrestling theme song of all time. People were asking him to play it and he said, I can't. He said, it's not owned by me. He said, I'm 100% sure they'll use it for someone else. So you will hear it, but.
Oh man, like that breaks my heart. So what was the point? Like, what's the point? Like, out of everybody, like, you can make at least an argument for everybody. Braun Strowman, he just finished up his WWE title programming. Maybe they didn't see him as a big man. Maybe they thought they had they needed to release him to free up more cash. Maybe they thought they have somebody in Omos that could do the big man spots. Okay, sucks for Braun, but I get it. Ruby Riott, she was further down on the card. Really sucks. Extremely talented, but you can semi-understand it. Murphy, again, the same thing. Lana, still the same thing. Santana Garrett, nothing. But Aleister Black, they just put so much time into a brand new gimmick after keeping him off TV for so long. You feel like this would have been something that would keep your job safe, but I guess in WWE, nobody's job is safe.
And I think that creates a bad atmosphere as well, because obviously today I've been talking to people all day because this news broke last night that this would happen, that things were going to happen. And everyone's been concerned about Bray Wyatt. And I was concerned about Bray Wyatt. He's not obviously been on TV for a long time. So the concern is real. And then obviously that you think, wow, if someone like Bray or even Aleister Black gets released, all of that intellectual property stays with WWE.
That's right.
Their names, their like the characters, like Bray Wyatt can't use Sister Abigail. He can't, Aleister Black can't use the Dark Father gimmick anywhere else. So, everything they put that time and the effort into just disappears. And no matter where they go, it's gone.
And also, they lose their name. Like, Tommy End is going to be Aleister Black's name now moving forward because that was his independent name, and that seems to be what everybody's doing these days. But, like, to lose all of those years as Aleister Black, all of that name recognition, like, sure, maybe your face gets recognized. Sure, maybe your appearance, people will recognize who you are. But that name, Aleister Black, people grew attached to it through however many years it's been. He was the NXT champion at one point. We were waiting for his entrance to come on the main roster, and then he sat up like a vampire. That it was just, he had such a cool connection to the audience. And the fact that he's gone now, the fact that Aleister Black is done, it's just so sad. And like you mentioned that he wants to work his way back to WWE, and honestly, I hope that he gets himself back to WWE because he is an incredible talent.
Yeah, I completely agree. And how cool will it be? Because these are names now that I think, especially if what Aleister Black was saying is true, which there's no reason to think it's not. If Vince McMahon was high on Aleister Black and everything like that, maybe he doesn't go back to NXT. Maybe he goes straight randomly on a Raw or a SmackDown in a year or two's time, and he's just there again, and it's that OMG great moment,
Mm-hmm. You keep talking, there's literally a spider descending from my ceiling. So CWrestling, tell me some more stuff about Aleister Black on his Twitch stream.
Just make sure you don't pause your camera, because that's something I think the viewers definitely want to see, because I just saw the number go up by 18 viewers. The minute the spider came around, Conman gained viewers. So, sub for the sub. I can't even talk now. Subscribe for the spider. But yeah,
there it is. I killed it. It's in my hand right now. People can see it now. There you go. Oh God, I got spider guts on my hand now. Oh, that was a dumb move. That was a really dumb move.
Because the world right now has got tons of hand sanitizer. So
that's true. I just got to go to a store. Oh man, yeah, like goodness gracious, that spider got squished like the career of Braun Strowman. But
you basically just did a Drew McIntyre and killed a spider, like he did to Eric Rowan's.
Exactly. There you go. That's a great reference. That damn spider, man. But yeah, I have no clue. What were you saying there? You were saying subscribe to the spider.
Subscribe for the spider. You gained viewers when you sort of mentioned a spider, so I thought, oh.
Well then.
Spider fans.
Got to see the spider. Let's see the spider numbers go up, okay? Subscribe for a spider, all right? Let's do it. Okay, guys, before we continue talking a little bit more about this, we don't want to dissect it too much, and we won't take up too much of your time here today, but we'll get into the reviews next week. This just doesn't feel like the right time to do the reviews, but Chaos Ascends over here, dropping 2 separate donations. First up, he dropped a 2-bomb. He says, Con, who has been released so far? This is outrageous. So far, my friend, the list is up to 6, and I hope it stays at 6. Braun Strowman, Aleister Black, Ruby Riott, Murphy, Lana, and Santana Garrett. Then he says, I really wanted to see Murphy, Braun, and Black as WWE champions. Great job, WWE. More talent wasted. And Chaos, I know it's a very sad day. The talent might be wasted in WWE, but they still created excellent moments for us, and we're still going to be able to follow their career. So don't be too sad, man. Their career is still going to be moving forward. They're still going to do excellent stuff, but it is a sad day overall. You never like to see anybody get released, so I understand. Angel Styles, thanks for subscribing as well. And one sec here, we just got to run this donation. It's very loud in my ear.
Damn it, I really wanted to see Braun, Murphy, and Black as WWE champions.
All right.
Great job, WWE.
So see,
more talent wasted.
Anything else that comes to mind for you of these 6 superstars? Is there anybody you'd like to kind of focus in on their career, missed opportunities potentially, or anything like that?
It's got to be Braun Strowman.
Okay.
I think even today, if you're looking at your roster and you're looking at people, are they worth their money? And you decide for whatever reason Braun Strowman isn't. I think you really should be asking the question, how do we make him worth that money?
There you go.
And it's further than just randomly putting him in a triple threat match of a rivalry fans are already bored of,
Yep.
So I think ultimately, if I was booking WWE completely out of left field, put him with the Fiend. Put him in the Firefly Funhouse, give him a mask, let him sell merchandise, let him be a character that people could really get their teeth into. And not just the typical big man who's going to flip everything over, but maybe a monster that's controlled by the demon, Something where you can sell merchandise and sell tickets because people paid to see him and he's worth his money. And I think that's where the failure is, because they don't see that potential.
Mm-hmm. That's a good point, man. Definitely here's the thing. Braun Strowman, his current character of what it was not entertaining. It wasn't. And they tried to do whatever they could to make it entertaining by adding in the the trained sound effects and get these hands and steam and whatever. They tried their best, and you got to give credit where credit is due for trying. But it became pretty obvious after a certain amount of time that Braun Strowman wasn't going to get any further over. He wasn't going to progress further in his career. He was stuck. He was stagnant, and he was just a big man who was somewhat of a draw, you could say, because he was big. Braun needed a change in character, like you just said, whether it was going back to or not going back, but going to the Funhouse or a brand new stable even. I would have loved to see Braun Strowman go on a losing streak, make some sort of story out of his losing streak, and then have somebody get into his ear and form a faction as a result. And like you kind of were going with, have a monster that is controlled by somebody else. You said the demon, and this, depending on whoever the story was, it could be some random manager, right? Like there was things they could do with Braun Strowman, and they just chose to keep presenting him in the exact same way, which got him made him very boring, to be honest. And it sucks that I'm sitting here saying this on the day that he'd been released and all that, but we're looking at what went wrong in WWE. And because Braun Strowman at one point was going to be a future WWE champion. And yeah, sure, he became Universal Champion, but the only reason he became Universal Champion was because Roman Reigns wasn't there. So yeah, or not Roman. Was that Roman Reigns at Mania?
It was Roman.
It was Roman. Okay, making sure I didn't misquote that. So yeah, like it was a very weird career for Braun Strowman, wasn't it, man?
Yeah, I think missed opportunities as well. Look at when he was feuding with Roman. Everyone's been saying it on Twitter today. He obviously had the world at his feet at that point. He could have done anything, and they didn't pull the trigger. So again, it's just that creative, just letting him down really, and not letting him get that push.
Common theme with the releases, creative letting them down. And like you can even dive in with Murphy here. Murphy, the creative letting him down. It's not like they didn't have stories for him to tell, right? Like they tried to get him into some stories, and they made him a pretty interesting character. His whole alliance with the Mysterios, why that was ever dropped, I don't understand. I can get why they maybe dropped the love romance angle between Murphy and Aaliyah. A lot of people weren't happy with it online. Personally, it was what it was. It was just a story. But like a lot of people weren't happy with it online, so I can understand why they dropped that. But to drop him from TV entirely and not keep him with the Mysterio family in some way, shape, or form was a giant mistake, in my opinion. What did you think about Murphy?
I kind of look at it, and I said the same thing, I think, when they done the last batch of releases for Kalisto. They have a Cruiserweight Championship. They even have a show that's called 205 Live, that Murphy's one of the people who made that show what it used to be, and that was good. So why, if you've got nothing for him, how have you got that division and not placed him in it? Like, and it doesn't make any sense to me as a fan. Because, okay, yes, someone said in your chat they want him to be world champion. Maybe. And maybe in time he would have developed into that. But if you've got nothing for him now, potentially you've got an entire division there that could use him. And you decide just to release him. And it was the same for Kalisto as well.
And like, you know, he didn't necessarily need to go down to the Cruiserweight division or to 205 Live for 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 months. It didn't need to be a Finn Balor run in NXT of over a year. It could have been a one-off. How about, like, why not think outside of the box? You have Santos Escobar when he was the Cruiserweight champion. Why not throw Murphy down there just for a one-off match against the Cruiserweight champion? Have it be a barn burner, protect Murphy in somehow, some way, and keep the title on the champion, right? Like, it feels like WWE forgets that they can think outside of the box and that they don't necessarily have to stick within the confines of their roster. Get creative with it, have open challenges, and actually deliver on some surprises. It can be one-offs. Think of Kevin Owens going down to NXT for War Games. That was an amazing one-off, wasn't it, man?
Oh, yeah, 100%. And even you could even run a story where maybe you move Murphy to Raw or something, you know, take him away from that Mysterio story if that's what you wanted to do. Have him come out and cut promos about, you know, I was the best ever Cruiserweight or something. And then have the Cruiserweight champion come out on Raw. Develop a match maybe for the next week where they have a match for the Cruiserweight title. give that championship, and at the time, Santos Escobar, maybe that shot of, oh, let's get some exposure to NXT, you know?
Yeah.
And actually give us an entertaining match on Raw. And maybe Murphy could have won it. And then eventually Santos Escobar wins it back or whatever, but that's fine. Like, just that moment would be cool. And there's so many moments like that where they could do something with someone and they just don't. And it's such a shame.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. It is such a shame. They have so much talent on their roster, 3 shows, and they somehow don't know they can surprise the fan. Like, you know what I mean? A surprise show up on your show of Raw from the Cruiserweight champion down in NXT. There's going to be some conversation around it. People are going to begin talking about the Cruiserweight division again. Like, anytime that they put something on TV, people talk about it. So why not present your show in a brand new fashion where you're like, okay, we got ourselves all this amazing talent in NXT. Why not have occasionally some open challenges where you legitimately feel like anybody can show up at any time? Imagine. Just imagine this, my man. You are sitting there and you hear open challenge for whoever, right? Let's say down the line, Omos wants an open challenge to show just how big and bad and mean he is. I don't know why, but we're just saying this. And then out came Karrion Kross. It's a nothing. You wouldn't even think about booking it together, but out he comes and stares down Omos, and you have that stare down, and maybe you go to the DQ finish, whatever, but it gets them on TV. And that's the main thing that they need to try to do is get people on TV. Can't be the same matches every single week because nobody's going to get over. It's going to be 50-50 booking like we see every single week. Nobody gets over. And then next thing you know, you got a roster of people who are just kind of dead. They're not doing anything. Nobody's interested in them, which is exactly what happened to these 6 superstars that got released, unfortunately.
Yeah.
And even Aleister Black. Like, you know, man, Aleister Black was amazing on TV. It was great to see, but he wasn't on TV for so long before, right? Like, those few weeks he was on TV was excellent, but he wasn't on TV before that. They just kept him off, and he was doing nothing. And people were always asking, what's going on with Aleister Black? What's going on with Aleister Black? They didn't deliver. Like, they even tried putting him on TV, and they didn't deliver. They fired the man. Like, I can't comprehend it, man. I'm rambling right now, but I just can't comprehend it.
Someone just sent me a statement on Twitter saying it was from an old interview from Braun Strowman, basically with him contemplating retirement. He said that the day I take my wrestling boots off for WWE is the day I stop wrestling. I will not wrestle for anyone else. I've been given an opportunity from Vince McMahon from WWE at Life that I would have never gotten anywhere else. I told him a long time ago, the day I take my boots off from you, I'm done, and I mean that.
Yeah. We'll see.
Yep.
We'll see. I mean, look, I'm not gonna talk down on Braun Strowman right now. Everybody here knows kind of my thoughts on the character of Braun Strowman, and it's never really been all that positive. But, like, you know, the man is an outspoken man, and he will say a lot of things at the time. I'm not sure he's necessarily a guy who likes to follow through with what he said at the end, but we'll see if this ends up being the case with Braun Strowman. I have a feeling he's going to wrestle again. What do you think?
Yeah, I think he will.
Yeah, that seems like one that might have been just him putting his own foot in his mouth early on in his career, feeling like he was probably pretty much protected in WWE, and rightfully so, believing that. If you have Vince McMahon in your ear saying, oh, you're an important part of this company, you're a big deal for us, we're gonna always keep you around, we're gonna give you a good life, we're gonna push you, and we're gonna always feature you in some way, shape, or form. Well, you know, you probably think your job is pretty safe at that point.
And he was on the same style contract, the size of it, as Brock Lesnar. Like, that's like, who I never even thought about what does Braun Strowman get paid, but that blew my mind when that came out today, that he was on $1 million a year.
That's ridiculous. I mean, not ridiculous. Good for Braun. Like, seriously, he's a big dude. He's impressive when you look at him, so it makes sense that he was being paid a lot of money, but that's a lot of money. Like, that's a lot. So, yeah, Braun, I wish him, obviously, all the best. There was something also with Braun Strowman at some point, I believe it was right towards the start of the pandemic, where he was kind of ripping on the independent wrestling scene it was something to do with money and how he didn't have any money before he went to WWE and now he has money. Something like that. We'll see what happens on the independent scene, but I think he's going to actually have a lot of people coming for him because of those comments and turning it into a bit of a story. So I think you're going to see Braun Strowman across the independent scene before you see him in AEW, New Japan, Impact, or anything like that. I expect him to show up at just some random show. What do you think, man?
Yeah, I think he'll do something. I don't think he's done. Saying that, though, Eric Rowan, I really suspected he could be signed somewhere now, and he isn't. He made a few appearances for NWA, and he made, obviously, the appearance on the Brody Lee tribute show on AEW, but other than that, he hasn't done anything. And I don't know, maybe there is a thing where maybe him and Eric Rowan could sort of form some kind of tag team on the indies. That would be kind of cool.
That would be really cool. And like when you're just mentioning that, why couldn't that be in WWE? You know what I mean? Like you've already worked with Eric Rowan. People obviously react strongly to him. Eric Rowan always worked well in tag teams. Why not put him with a big man? And, like these are the things we talk about with WWE, not trying to find ways to be creative with their talent on their roster. They feel like if they don't get over with whatever character they're presenting right then and there, that superstar is dead in the water. And that's just not the case. A partnership of Braun Strowman and Eric Rowan being brought back would have been incredible for TV. It really would have. But yeah, maybe something on the independent scene with Eric Rowan and Braun could be in their future, or who knows. But it's all just speculation at this point. I'm just checking Twitter to see if there's been any new news or anything like that, but it doesn't necessarily look like it. Last one here, talking a little bit about Lana some more. Do you think that she does go to AEW? You mentioned it there before, to reunite with Miro. If you're a betting man, is that where you bet she ends up?
Yeah, I think so. I said it earlier. I don't think she was comfortable wrestling, and she never signed up to WWE to be a wrestler. She always signed up to be a manager, and then everything kind of developed from there. And the way she moves in the ring, she's very, very cautious. So I do wonder if wrestling is her passion, and I don't think it is. And if she can go to AEW, maybe still take a few bumps, maybe have the occasional match, but not be a women's superstar, but instead be a manager to Miro and be that voice for him, like she was when he was Rusev. I think that's exactly what he needs, and probably what she needs to do for her character as well.
Yeah, and I mean, they're married as well. So it's just it makes sense that, maybe she had, like, when they came into WWE, they came in together. I don't know if she is maybe, like, this is obviously, again, all speculation, but if you've been working with your husband throughout your entire life, maybe, the separation isn't what they're after. It's been a tough year, and Miro having some success over in AEW could make her think the same things. Like, hey, if I go over there, I get to spend time with him, and I actually get a bit of an easier schedule. So, that could be on their mind. There's a couple people, again, over on Twitter that have been speaking up on this. Deanna Perrazzo from Impact Wrestling says, I can't wait to see all of you thrive. So she is excited for a lot of people's future. Tegan Knox says, that one really freaking stung. It's going to be one hell of a Lovelace world. So she's very much behind Ruby Riott. Alexa Bliss tweets out a broken heart, says it's terrible, as Braun Strowman is the photo that she shared out being released. So that's not good. Alexi, she obviously had a lot of strong feelings with Braun Strowman. Their character went way back, and it was actually Braun Strowman that was the catalyst to turning Alexa with the Fiend, was it not? Something like that.
Yeah.
So just it's a heartbreaking day for a lot of people in the wrestling world. Trey Miguel from Impact Wrestling said, people wondered why I didn't go there because they make no sense. How? So yeah, there's that. Matt Cardona, the former Zack Ryder, says, every one of those people will be fine. Work hard, be you, be successful, be your own boss, and have fun. So that's a pretty positive message from another superstar who was released not too long ago. I think we're going to probably have to end pretty soon right here, CWrestling, because at this point, we're just going to keep diving into speculation as to what's next for the superstars. But any final words, my man?
Not really. I do want to ask you a question, though, and it's something I keep seeing people bring up on Twitter. Do you think that this is like a targeted thing by WWE? If we remove the theories of maybe them selling the company and all that stuff, do you think it's possible that they are releasing these people to flood AEW on purpose, knowing AEW will sign most of these people and they get a huge roster where fans will then turn around and say, you're just signing ex-WWE guys?
It's a solid theory.
It's not a positive look, but it's something that is being brought up on Twitter quite a lot, that maybe the stance changed knowing that they would sign them. So let's flood them and make them spend their money.
Yeah, like I get why people might be thinking that. I do. Like, I see where they're coming from. I don't think that's the case. I think that this, at the end of the day, is WWE, one, making space for more people to be called up. We've seen some superstars being called up recently. Rick Buggs, and who else has been just moved up recently? There was... I guess Omos has been featured more, so that's more what I'm thinking. Never mind. There's only been one person really called up recently, but, you know, it seems like maybe they might be closing off the Adam Cole chapter, trying to get that match between Cole and Cross, and then Adam Cole might be coming up after that. There could be some tag teams on the way up. There could be, I expect there to be some women's superstars moved up. Wouldn't even be surprised if Frankie Monet was one of those superstars moved up as well before her career takes off in NXT. They need some more stars on the main roster. So, like, it could be just one of those spring cleanings where they took a look at the roster and said, okay, we are not going to legitimately push Braun Strowman anymore, and he just clouds up the top of the card. We don't know what to do with him anymore. Aleister Black, we're not going to legitimately push to the main event, so what are we doing with him? Or, you know what I mean? Like, there could have been those thought processes, and then they just said, okay, let's get rid of them. Let's make more stars here in WWE, and if they become bigger stars out on the independent scene, we can bring them back. That's my thought process.
I mean, we definitely seen that with Drew. Obviously, Drew's probably the most famous one to sort of leave WWE after being fired, go back to NXT, and straight back in. Look where he is now.
Sorry, man, we got a dono. It just interrupted you. It was a sneaky dono over on PayPal. Dylan Fury says, this has been an insane stream. Appreciate it, buddy. Not happy to be here doing this today, if I'm being honest. It sucks that they lost their job. But thank you. I appreciate the $10 regardless.
This has been an insane stream.
But CWrestling, sorry, what were you just saying right there? With I think it was Braun, right?
I was just saying that it's a shame everyone's been released.
Okay.
Drew McIntyre obviously is the most famous person to kind of leave WWE, make a name for himself, and come back. And now he's probably one of the biggest faces in the company. So it can work out for people.
It can. You just have to put the work in, right? And it sucks. Yeah. It sucks. I bet you the wrestlers that got released would hate to hear some mark online telling them, just do the work. Like, you know, that's not what I'm saying. Like, but like Drew McIntyre is an excellent case study, right? You take a look at him. He was released and his career wasn't going anywhere. He was in 3MB doing absolutely nothing, goes to the independent scene, bulks up, does the work, wrestles everywhere, and finds his way back to WWE. So that's probably the prototype they want to look at if they want to figure out how to get back to WWE. But yeah, still not a fun day at all, CWrestling, but I think we're going to close it off here. I want to say thank you to everybody watching the show today. It sucks. Stay positive if you can. These wrestlers will land on their feet. They will land in another company. And at the bare minimum, this summer for New Japan Pro Wrestling, Ring of Honor, AEW, Impact Wrestling, the independent scene, it is going to be a must-see summer. Where are people going to end up? We will find out. But man, CWrestling, thank you so much for being a part of this show today. What do you have going on? Would you like to plug some stuff here?
Not too much at the moment. I'm kind of keeping everything sort of on the down low a little bit. I did have a Riott Squad video planned for tomorrow, which now obviously will not happen. So I'll just sort of see what happens maybe the rest of tonight and tomorrow, and then go from there probably. So
sounds good, my man. Any live streams coming up? Do you live stream at all?
We do a Funhouse Friday. We're not doing it this week though. I'll be doing it on a friend's channel.
All right. What's that friend's channel? Let's give it a plug.
It is DJ B Tazzy.
There you
so
go.
if you're going to subscribe to Tazzy, he will just love a few subs. He genuinely is a really chill dude. But yeah, we do normally live stream on a Friday on my channel, but we're going to do it on his this week. So
awesome. I think I've seen you tweet that out a few times. So if you guys want to go, right, you've tweeted it out a few times, that channel?
Yeah.
So if you guys want to go over to CWrestling's Twitter at CWrestling UK, you can find that channel right there. So make sure you go drop a subscription, and that way you can see Wrestling this Friday with his live stream. But that's going to do it for us here today, everybody. Take care. Thank you very much for watching. To all the wrestlers, once again, you will land on your feet. You will be fine. You're very, very, very talented people. So best of luck to you guys. Thank you for the memories. Thank you for the hard work. And thank you for watching the stream. Take care, everybody. I'm in Con. That was CWrestling. And unfortunately, that was the releases on Black Wednesday.